How Bolin had always believed his life was predictable, a series of carefully charted steps leading toward an uncertain destiny. Under the watchful eye of his uncle, Chaoxiang, Bolin's world revolved around the family empire. Chaoxiang's power and influence were undeniable, and Bolin had grown up in awe of the man, never daring to question why his parents were rarely in the picture. When his cousin Ming suggested they expand their business ventures into Lagos, Nigeria, Bolin leaped at the opportunity. The city's vibrancy and untapped potential were irresistible, offering him a rare chance to step out of Chaoxiang's shadow and prove his worth. It was a chance to breathe free air, away from the ever-present weight of the family's legacy. From the moment Bolin arrived in Lagos, the city gripped him. The bustling streets were alive with the cacophony of voices, the rich aroma of street food, and the energy of ambition and determination. It was in this city, teeming with life and color, that Bolin first met Marina Obiora. The encounter was serendipitous. Bolin had been exploring a local marketplace, entranced by the kaleidoscope of goods and cultures that surrounded him. Amid the sea of vendors and shoppers, he saw her, Marina, standing at a stall, haggling over the price of a hand-woven fabric. Her voice was firm but warm, her laughter rich and genuine as she bantered with the merchant. She was unlike anyone Bolin had ever met. Her dark, confident eyes held a spark of determination, and the way she carried herself, poised, assured, left him captivated. For a man who had spent his life surrounded by polished politeness and calculated interactions, Marina's authenticity was like a breath of fresh air. "You're staring," Ming muttered beside him, snapping Bolin out of his trance. Bolin straightened, trying to appear nonchalant. "I wasn't staring." Ming smirked. "Go on then. Talk to her. Let's see how the great How Bolin fares in a marketplace of romance." Bolin hesitated, but something about Marina compelled him to step forward. He approached the stall, feigning interest in the fabrics. "Quite the negotiator, aren't you?" he said, his Mandarin accented English catching her attention. Marina turned to him, raising an eyebrow. "And you are?" Bolin extended his hand. "How Bolin? I'm new to Lagos." Marina's gaze lingered on him, assessing. She didn't take his hand. "Well, how Bolin? If you're new here, I suggest you avoid standing in the middle of a market unless you enjoy getting robbed." Her bluntness took him by surprise, but he found himself smiling. "I'll keep that in mind. Maybe you could give me a few more tips?" Marina rolled her eyes but couldn't suppress a small smile. "You want tips? Don't pay full price for anything, and never assume you can charm your way into a discount." "I wasn't trying to charm you," Bolin replied, his grin widening. "But is it working?" Marina laughed, a sound that made the chaos of the market fade into the background. Not even close. What began as a chance encounter turned into something more. Bolin found himself seeking out Marina's company, drawn to her intelligence and unshakable confidence. She wasn't impressed by his wealth or the weight of his name. In fact, she didn't seem to care who he was at all. For once in his life, Bolin felt like he could be himself without the expectations of his family hanging over him. They spent afternoons exploring Lagos together, walking along the coastline, visiting art galleries, and sampling street food from vendors who greeted Marina like an old friend. Bolin discovered new sides of himself in her presence, a sense of freedom, humor, and vulnerability he had never known he possessed. But their bond wasn't built on light-hearted moments alone. Marina challenged Bolin in ways no one else dared to. She questioned his assumptions, pushed him to think beyond the confines of his privileged life, and forced him to confront the truth about what he wanted for himself, not for his family's empire. "I think you're afraid," Marina said one evening, as they sat by the water, watching the sun dip below the horizon. "Afraid of what?" Bolin asked, genuinely curious. "Of being yourself," she replied, turning to face him. You're so used to living in someone else's shadow that you don't even know who you are." Her words struck a chord he didn't realize existed. For the first time, Bolin began to question the life he had accepted without hesitation. Months passed, and what started as a tentative friendship blossomed into a deep, unshakable love. Bolin had fallen for Marina's unwavering strength, her kindness, and her ability to see him for who he truly was. And Marina,